Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Jim Bob. What's happening? We're down here. I got a little furnace issue I'm working with right now, too. We're down here in the shop. I'm going to get back to working on the old tractor project. It's funny how I got to get, like, I put the camera there and I'm like, well, oh, this looks like garbage. But you know what? I don't have a professional set. This is not a professional YouTube garage. It's just me working on stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on this, and we'll see a little time lapse of what I'm doing because I want to bore you with the whole thing. But I'm gonna get involved with the front end, and we got to figure some stuff out. So thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking around. I just want to say, guys, I've worked on a lot of tractors, and I'm sorry about this I-beam. It's a problem for me because I'm 6'4", but I've worked in worse. Okay, so I'm shoved in a corner here, but it's working for me, and my back don't hurt, so I'm good with it. But I've worked on a lot of tractors, and I gotta say the older Craftsman series, they're built really good. They're built good. And they're built friendly for the mechanic that's going to work on it. Like, I just took out 8 bolts and the tie rod, and I removed the whole front end steering section. Alright, the pivot, the whole 9 yards, with 8 bolts. 4 on one side, 4 on the other side. That's kind of unheard of in some of the new junk you buy now. Even the big box stores, name brands you get there, they're not the same. They're all molded and welded together. They're hard to get apart. But yeah, 8 bolts. I got the whole steering assembly off, so that's a good deal. So now I'm gonna lower this down. I'm gonna bring the table back over here where normal people can stand up, and we're gonna do some figuring, and I'll let you in on the figuring. All right. So anyway, what I was saying about the front end came apart nice and easy. That's great. And I told you guys that I had a plan, and I knew what I was doing, and I wrote everything down. But I got to tell you, it keeps changing every night. The more I think about it, I go one way, and then I go the other way. I want to go like, all right, let's just build a race mower out of what I have, right? Without getting all fancy and buying expensive parts. Then on the other hand, I'm like, why don't you just go all the way, right? All right, well, I want to go all the way. That's definitely me. I'm like, very unnecessary is what I like to do. And that would be very unnecessary to go all the way. I'm going to work my way up to it, guys. I'm going to take advice that I got from another YouTuber that I discovered this hobby on. He's like, listen, he goes, just take what you got, modify it, go from there. He says, you don't want to go all out first right off the bat. And I was like, well, yes, I do. But I'm going to kind of meet in the middle of the road. I'm going to use the parts that I have, or try to, and get it where I want it. It's going to be a challenge with the front end, like lowering the front end with stock parts. I'll probably have to fab some stuff. But I'm going to try and meet in the middle of the road here. I know during these videos I've changed my mind and I've said 15 different things. But I'm trying to be logical here, and I'm also trying to do this on a standpoint of, hey, what if I make this and somebody wants one, or maybe they want to take this one, right, and then they take this one, and then I got to build another one. So I want to figure out how I can do it with what I have. That's a challenge from my brain. That's what I like to do. So I'm going to try and get it to where I need it to be by doing just that. So at this point, no, I don't have a plan. No, I don't have a plan at all. I know ride height is an issue. I'm not worried about the gearing. I'm not worried about the power plant because I have that. But It wants to be low. 4 inches off the ground would be cool, believe me. But I don't think that's that's not a good idea at this point. Because if I get this thing down, I gotta go full-blown modification on the back. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'm ready for it. I don't know if my checkbook is ready for it, is what I'm saying. So this was, of course, sitting up here. I want to get this down a little bit. And I think right here, I mean, for me, for now, this is a good ride height. I'd like to get the back down more, guys. I don't know how. I don't know. I guess I could. I could lower the back a little more, but then I'm looking at flaring fenders. You know, if I go any lower in the back, then I gotta flare the fenders out and probably do a little body work. It's hard. The fun part about this is something I want to do. So I know what I should do. I know the responsible thing to do. I'm stuck in the middle because I know what I want to do, but that's very irresponsible. That's money, a lot of money. So at this point, let's just go backyard garage build and see what we can do with this old Craftsman. And I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to make videos doing this that are boring people to death. So there'll probably be a lot of time lapse involved, and bear with me, there's probably going to be a lot of changing of my mind. But I'm going to go ahead and try and get a plan together and then move forward, because I really want to get this thing done. And then the hard part about getting it done is I don't know what my end goal is now, because I'm so confused. But that's what us builders and fabricators do, and that's what we do at Jim Bob's Service. We fly by the seat of our pants, and it all just goes out of control, and at the end of the project, it's sweet. So I'm going to stick with that program. So yeah, at this point, everybody's like, Jim Bob, what's your plan? I'm like, I don't have a plan. So you guys are pretty funny thinking I got a plan. I'd love to have a plan. I'm going to show you what my plan is as I figure it out. That's the best way. He had it all figured out as he did it. Sometimes stuff just falls into place, and that's what I'm hoping for, I guess. So come on right over here and get into the action and see what my weird brain is thinking. So we got this, how's our battery on the old No Pro? It's terrible, like normal, go figure. So, I'm going to take this here, what I call an A-frame, but it's not an A-frame. I'm going to pull this assembly out of this bracket, because I don't need this, because this is for the tilting action of the front end, which I'm not going to need tilting where I'm going. The only tilting I'm going to be doing is upside down on my lid. So I'm going to get rid of this whole assembly. That's going to leave me with the steering frame only. Then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to mount that. So let's tear this apart and save all our nuts and bolts, because you can never have too many factory nuts and bolts. Look at how this thing just falls apart. I'll tell you, this thing is made nice. It's not normally the stuff nowadays you work on it, it's just like you got to take 30 screws out to get to where you want to be, and then at the end of the day, you get done on 30 screws, you're still not there. This thing's just, you know, it's almost like someone engineered this tractor to be worked on, which is really unheard of. Alright, so this is what we're ending up with right here. This is our steering assembly. So we're going to figure out how to get this mounted up under there. I'm sure there's some bracketry I'm going to have to make. Also, considering there's nothing on the front end but the front end and the engine, I probably want to stretch this thing out a little bit. I I want to stretch my wheelbase. That'll give me a little more stability at 60 mile an hour when I'm hanging on for dear life. Actually, you know what? That's a great idea. Thanks for that idea, guys. I think what's going to happen is I think I'm going to get down here, check it out, see what I'm talking about. I think I'm going to bring this all the way to the front, and I'm going to notch it out, and I'm going to use this center hole for the center hole on my steering assembly. And if I notch out the side to accept that, I can get all up in there pretty good, and that's going to drop the front end down. Huh. So if I hold it on the outside, of course it's backwards. I don't even know where this camera's looking when I'm moving it around. I'm just hoping it's catching everything. So let's just say I put it here. If I line it up right about here, where's that going to drop me? You know, I need to put these tires on is what I need to do. And then it's going to fall down like that. It's probably fall off the table. It'll be interesting though. Yeah, it's still going to be too high. I got to go lower than that. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to do some spindles. These spindles are too, they got too much of a drop on them to get me the height I want. But yeah, I know what you're saying right now. Yeah, I know you're talking to your screen as you're watching this, and you're like, flip it over, dude. Is that possible? The only thing about that is my tire's gonna fall off, probably knock the camera over. The only thing about that is then my caster camber is gonna be thrown out of whack if I ran it upside down. But I could run it upside down if I made sure these tops were welded on and it wouldn't push the A-frame out. See, this is where it gets all weird. I could just slap this thing on and say, yeah, it's good. But that's not what I want. I want my height. My right height, I think, is crucial. And I got to do this first before I can even get into the steering. So, you know, it's the struggles of doing stupid stuff. Watch all these car guys do stuff, but cars are different. They're much more forgiving. I mean, nobody makes race parts for lawnmowers other than one company. So yeah, let's just sit back and let's think about this for a minute, all right? Maybe I'll go have a sandwich and think about it. I'll be back. All right, so we're back. Enough of this mumbo jumbo talking. I've consulted with my design team, which is nobody but me. And I've decided, I've marked out on each side where I want to cut up to put my steering up. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to just chop this thing up and we're going to see what happens, all right? You know what? As a professional videographer, I'm going to put this on time lapse so you ain't got to hear the grinder. That's very polite of me, so make sure you leave me a thumbs up. Alright, so as I come back, a lot's happened since I've last seen you. I said I was going to time-lapse my video of cutting, you know, cutting these and everything, and well, it turns out I never hit start. I did hit start, it just didn't start, because me and old No Pro, we don't get along. So, in the meantime, I cut these out, I put my axle where I want it to be, and we're gonna see what our ride head looks like. I don't know if I'm happy with it yet. I also did go out and check my mail. Because you know you gotta check your mail. And as I checked the mail, I hooked up the old garden hose and made sure there's no ice cubes in it because it's been cold here and it's not cold now, so it did thaw out. It's important when you're using grinders and cut-off wheels. If you've been in the shop situation enough, you've had some incidents. I've had a couple myself. You don't want to take those little sparks for granted. You want to make sure you use, when you're using your cut-off wheel and you're making sparks, like this side was fine, it's throwing the sparks that way. When I cut this side, it's throwing sparks that way, so I put up a little deflector of cardboard. Those little sparks are cute and all, but they can get really nasty in a quick hurry, okay? So just remember, anytime you're MIG welding in your garage or your little shop or whatever, your shack like I got, whenever you're MIG welding, cut-off wheel, grinder, any kind of little spark that's cute could turn into a major headache. So make sure you have all your plans in order. My garden hose is right outside. It's flowing good water. She's ready to go if I need it. And also, if you're doing that, you want to give yourself, when you're done with whatever you're doing and you're making sparks, give yourself at least half hour, 45 minutes to stay in that area to make sure nothing flares up, because it will happen and it can get out of control in a real big hurry. And I've heard of a couple of garages burning down, and that's probably what happened. You know, you don't think about it. I guess we call it spark watch in the fabricator world. After we get done, even at work, if it's late in the day and we're grinding or welding or something, we'll hang around that extra 45 minutes just to make sure everything's all right, because you never know. Okay. So yeah, this right about here is the lowest I can get the ride height with doing what I wanted to do. The machine is sitting level, but is it low enough? I don't know. I want to go lower, but I don't know if I need to. It's lower than it was. If I could go lower, I could totally chop this off and I can make a riser right here to hang on to that axle. I don't know if I need to. It's a lot lower than it was factory. Maybe it's enough to have fun with. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's where we're at now. And like I said, I hit that video, that time lapse, and it didn't start. Me and that camera don't get along. We never have. I've played by the rules, but he just doesn't. He's got a problem with me for some reason. So yeah, basically, all I did, just so you know, if you care, is I just slotted out the chassis, and I slotted out to receive, you know, my front axle. And before it was down here, so it's down a good 4 inches. And the machine's sitting level right at this point. So I think that's where I might leave it for now. I can always go lower. That's one thing about a project. If you're doing a build like this, you can always go extra, but you can never pull that extra back. You know, if you go too low to begin with, you could be too low and you're like, man, I wish I would have thought of this. I wish I would have thought of that. Once I get the motor in it and I get my pulleys all set up to where they need to be, I'll see how much clearance I have underneath it, and then I can always go lower. But if I drop it right down to the ground and I put the motor in and the crankshaft and pulleys like 3 inches from the ground, that's not cool, because a lot of these tractors, they are running side shaft, so they don't have the pulley down below. But I think this is what we're looking for. She looks pretty low. She looks pretty good. I want to lower the floor kicks, and then it doesn't look any lower right now because these are in the same spot. But once I do drop them down, you'll see how much more it is. I mean, obviously, you can see by the back fender, you know, how much lower we've gotten so far. So I think that's what we're. I think we're in a good place right now. I'm not sure. I think we are. For at least right now, we're in a good place. All right. So I'm going to move forward, and I'm going to come up with a plan on how I'm going to mount this, how I'm going to mount it. And I don't want it to flex. I want it to be rigid, because I don't need the front end flexing in the back wheel. You know, that turns into a high side. And if you've never had a high side on a motorcycle or a four-wheeler, you don't understand. But if you have had one, you understand they're not fun. So I'd rather pick a wheel up than, you know, have a little suspension in the front. So I think that's all we got for tonight. If it was boring, I'm sorry. But if you enjoyed it, thanks for sticking in there with me and watching it. And I'm going to move forward. And I'm sorry it's not more planned, it's not more professional like those other guys out there. You know, this isn't Hot Rod TV, people. This is real life, real little shop projects. And that's what we're all about here at Jim Bob Service. So thanks for watching. Have a good night, and I'll see you on the next one.